Dr. Amanda Brooks rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the computer screen again. She had been working at the radio telescope station for 18 hours straight. The numbers on her screen made no sense. For 3 days now, a strange signal had been coming from deep space. It was not random noise like most signals they received. This one was different. It had patterns. It had purpose. Amanda walked across the control room to get more coffee. Her team of scientists was also working without sleep. Everyone knew this signal was special. Dr. Kevin Walsh, her assistant, was printing out pages of data. The papers covered 3 tables already. "Amanda, you need to see this," Kevin said. His voice was shaking. "I ran the signal through our new computer program, the one that looks for mathematical patterns." Amanda set down her coffee cup and looked at Kevin's computer. The screen showed rows of numbers. But these numbers were not random. They were prime numbers. Then came the Fibonacci sequence. After that came pi to 100 decimal places. "This is not natural," Amanda whispered. "No star or planet can make signals like this. Someone is sending us a message." At that moment, the phone rang. It was General Patricia Kane from the Pentagon. Her voice was calm, but serious. "Dr. Brooks, I need you and your team to stop all other work. Focus only on this signal. We are sending military experts to help you. This is now a matter of national security." Amanda felt her heart beating faster. In all her years of searching for signals from space, she had never heard the military talk like this. Something big was happening. 2 hours later, 3 black cars arrived at the telescope station. Lieutenant Colonel Jake Martinez stepped out of the first car. Behind him came a team of codebreakers and computer experts from the military. Jake was a tall man with gray hair and serious eyes. He had spent 20 years in the Air Force working on secret projects. When he spoke, everyone listened. "Dr. Brooks, we have been tracking this signal since it started. Our computers have been working day and night to decode it. What we found will change everything." Jake opened his laptop and showed Amanda a document. The words on the screen made her feel cold inside. "We have translated part of the message. It comes from a species called the HFY. They lived on a planet 40 light years from Earth, but they are all dead now." Amanda read the translated message on the screen. The words were simple but terrifying. "To any who receive this signal, we are the HFY. Our world is dying. Our people are gone. We send this message as a warning. The Dominion comes. They harvest all intelligent life. They take worlds and leave nothing behind. We fought them for 50 years. We lost. They are moving toward your section of the galaxy. Prepare. Fight. Do not let our deaths be meaningless." Amanda sat down heavily in her chair. "How far away are they?" Jake looked at his notes. "The signal took 4 years to reach us. But the message talks about the Dominion moving this way after they finished with the HFY world. Our best guess is that they will arrive here in 6 to 8 months. Dr. Kevin Walsh spoke up from across the room. "What is the Dominion? What do they want?" Jake clicked to another page on his laptop. "The HFY message includes data about the Dominion. They are an old species, very advanced. They travel from star to star looking for intelligent life. When they find it, they destroy it and take the planet's resources." "How many worlds have they taken?" Amanda asked. "According to the HFY data, at least 200 worlds over the past 1,000 years. They are very good at what they do. No species has ever stopped them." Amanda felt sick. She thought about her daughter Lisa, who was only 12 years old. She thought about all the children on Earth who had no idea what was coming. "What can we do?" she asked. We barely have space stations. We have never fought a war in space. Jake closed his laptop and looked directly at Amanda. That is what we need to figure out. The president is calling an emergency meeting with leaders from every country. We have 6 months to prepare for the biggest threat humanity has ever faced. The next few hours passed like a strange dream. Scientists and military officers filled the telescope station. Everyone was reading the HFY message and trying to understand what it meant for Earth. Dr. Susan Lee, a weapons expert from the Navy, was studying the technical data the HFY had included. They sent us information about Dominion ships and weapons. It is like they wanted to help us fight back. Amanda looked at the star charts the HFY had transmitted. Red dots showed where the Dominion had destroyed other worlds. Each red dot had been home to millions or billions of intelligent beings. Now they were all gone. Why did the HFY warn us? Amanda wondered out loud. They were dying. Why spend their last energy to help strangers? Jake thought about this for a moment. Maybe they hoped someone would succeed where they failed. Maybe they wanted their deaths to mean something. As the sun set outside the telescope station, Amanda stood by the window looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, alien ships were traveling toward Earth. Ships full of creatures that had killed entire civilizations. But as she watched the stars, Amanda felt something unexpected, not just fear, but anger. The Dominion thought they could come to Earth and destroy humanity like they had destroyed so many others. They thought humans would be easy victims. They were wrong. Amanda had studied human history. She knew about the wars humans had fought. She knew about the cities that had been bombed and rebuilt. She knew about the armies that had crossed impossible terrain to win battles that could not be won. Humans were not like other species. Humans had been fighting each other for thousands of years. They had learned to survive when survival seemed impossible. They had learned to fight when fighting seemed hopeless. The Dominion had made a mistake. They had given humanity 6 months to prepare, 6 months for the most warlike species in the galaxy to get ready for battle. Amanda smiled for the first time in 3 days. The aliens were coming to harvest humanity, but they had never faced anything like humans before. They had never fought a species that had turned warfare into an art form. The signal from the HFY had been meant as a warning, but it had become something else. It had become humanity's call to arms. Amanda went back to her computer and began working again. But now she was not just studying the alien signal. She was helping to plan for war, a war that would decide if humanity lived or died. Outside, the stars continued to shine. But now Amanda knew that some of those stars had once lit worlds full of life, worlds that the Dominion had destroyed. Soon the Dominion would learn that Earth was different. They would learn that humans were different. They would learn why humanity had survived every challenge in their history. They would learn that some species fight back. Jenny Adams had never expected to save the world while flying a converted cargo hauler painted bright pink. The ship used to carry frozen fish across the solar system. Now it carried a collection of weapons that would make any sane engineer quit their job and become a farmer. "This is Jenny in Pink Lightning," she called over the radio. "I'm going in for another attack run." Her ship was held together with duct tape, hope, and about 50 different types of glue. The weapon systems had been cobbled together from a microwave oven, a car battery, 3 broken computers, and a device that used to make cotton candy at county fairs. "Copy that, Pink Lightning," Alex Turner replied from his food truck command ship. "Try to hit something important this time." Jenny laughed as she dodged another energy beam from the alien fleet. The aliens were still trying to shoot down her ship, but they kept missing. Their targeting computers couldn't figure out how something held together with tape could move so unpredictably. The truth was, Jenny wasn't trying to fly unpredictably. Her ship was so badly built that it couldn't fly straight even when she wanted it to. Every time she pushed the controls one way, the ship went 3 different directions at once. "Pink lightning to all units," Jenny called out. "I'm trying something crazy. If this works, it's going to be really loud." She pointed her ship at the largest alien vessel and fired everything at once. The microwave weapon shot out a beam of energy that made space itself look wavy. The cotton candy machine started, spinning so fast it created some kind of weird gravity field. The broken computers somehow generated electricity that turned purple and smelled like burned toast. All of these random effects hit the alien ship at the same time. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the alien ship started to glow. Not the healthy glow of working technology, but the sick glow of something going very wrong. "What did you do?" Casey Morgan asked from her school bus. "I have no idea," Jenny replied honestly. Dr. Ben Carter was watching the battle from his lab on Earth. His computers were recording everything, trying to understand how humanity's chaos was defeating advanced alien technology. When Jenny's attack hit, every screen in his lab went crazy. "Sophie, are you seeing this?" he called to his engineering partner. Sophie Wright ran over to look at the data. "The alien ship's energy patterns are going nuts. It's like Jenny's attack created some kind of feedback loop." "Feedback loop in what?" "I don't know, but it's spreading to the other ships." On the alien flagship, Commander Zethkar watched his tactical display with growing horror. The human attack had somehow disrupted the quantum network that connected all ships in his fleet. For the first time in 1,000 years, the hegemony fleet was experiencing technical difficulties. "Report," he ordered his communications officer. "Sir, the network is experiencing cascading failures. The human weapons are generating interference patterns that our systems cannot process." Zethkar had commanded fleets across the galaxy for 3 centuries. He had conquered hundreds of worlds using the perfect coordination that the quantum network provided. No enemy had ever found a way to disrupt it. "How is this possible?" he asked. "Unknown, sir. The human weapons appear to operate on principles that violate several laws of physics. Our computers are trying to analyze the data, but the results keep changing." What the aliens didn't understand was that human technology worked by accident, more often than by design. Jenny's cotton candy weapon had been built by a mechanic who was drunk, an engineer who was tired, and a physicist who was making everything up as he went along. The device shouldn't have worked at all, but somehow it did. And because it worked in ways that made no sense, the alien computers couldn't figure out how to defend against it. The network disruption spread from ship to ship like a virus. Each alien vessel was designed to share information instantly with every other ship. When Jenny's impossible weapon confused one ship, that confusion spread to all of them. Dr. Carter saw what was happening first. "Sophie, I think I understand what's going on." "Explain it to me in small words," Sophie said. "I'm an engineer, not a space wizard. The aliens share a group mind. All their ships are connected. When we confuse one ship, we confuse them all." Sophie's eyes went wide. "You mean they're all using the same brain?" "Something like that. And right now, that brain is having a nervous breakdown." Dr. Carter grabbed his radio and called Alex Turner. "Commander, this is Dr. Carter. I need you to hit them with everything random you've got." Don't try to make sense. Just fire the weirdest stuff you can think of. Copy that, Doc, Alex replied. You heard the man, people. Time to get really stupid. What followed was the strangest battle order in military history. Alex told his pilots to stop trying to aim and just shoot randomly. He ordered them to play different music on every ship. He even told them to paint their ships different colors while they were fighting. Casey Morgan opened her weapons locker and found a device that nobody remembered building. It looked like a hairdryer attached to a bicycle pump. I have no idea what this does, she announced over the radio. Perfect, Alex replied. Use it. Casey pointed the mystery weapon at the nearest alien ship and pulled the trigger. A beam of bright orange light shot out and hit the alien vessel. Instead of exploding, the ship started spinning slowly and playing what sounded like elevator music. Okay, that was weird, Casey said. The effect on the alien network was immediate. Ships across the fleet began acting strangely. Some started flying in circles. Others began broadcasting random radio signals. A few just stopped moving entirely and hung in space like metal sculptures. Steve Rodriguez fired his ice cream launcher at a cruiser and somehow turned its hull bright yellow with purple stripes. Tony Garcia shot a modified paint gun at another ship and made it smell like strawberries from 3 miles away. Every impossible human weapon created more chaos in the alien network. The ships that had moved in perfect formation were now bumping into each other and apologizing in different languages. Commander Zethkar stared at his fleet falling apart. His perfect ships were acting like confused children. Some were asking for directions to the bathroom. Others were trying to order pizza. Sir, his tactical officer reported, the humans are launching another wave of attacks. What kind of attacks? A marching band, sir. Zethkar looked at his screen. A human ship shaped like a giant trumpet was flying toward his fleet while playing. Loud, off-key music. Behind it came ships that looked like drums, tubas, and something that might have been a piano with rocket engines. This is impossible, Zethkar said. Yes, sir, his officer agreed. But it's happening anyway. Dr. Carter watched the data streams from Earth and smiled. The alien fleet was destroying itself with confusion. Ships designed to work together perfectly were now working together perfectly to accomplish absolutely nothing useful. Sophie, he said, I think we're winning. How can you tell? Because half their fleet just asked our ships for driving directions to the nearest gas station. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Cytherian plasma cannons opened fire. Bright purple beams of superheated energy lanced across space, striking the New Horizons hull with enough power to vaporize a small moon. Admiral Zexatar watched with satisfaction as the beams connected, expecting to see the human ship break apart like a fragile toy. Instead, something impossible happened. The outer layer of the New Horizons hull began to burn away, but underneath was something completely different. As the fake cargo ship exterior melted off like old paint, it revealed sleek, dark metal beneath. The ugly, boxy shape was disappearing, replaced by something that made Zexatar's blood run cold. What is happening? Velnoth screamed from his sensor station. His 4 eyes were wide with terror as he stared at his readings. Admiral, the human ship is changing. The energy signatures are climbing beyond anything in our database. Zextar watched in growing horror as the New Horizon completed her transformation. Gone was the slow, clumsy cargo freighter. In its place was a ship that looked like it had been designed by nightmares. The hull was smooth and predatory, covered in angles that seemed to bend light around them. Weapon ports were opening along, her sides like the eyes of some ancient monster waking up. Captain Morrison stood calmly on his bridge as his ship revealed her true nature. Around him, his crew worked with the smooth efficiency of people who had done this many times before. The red emergency lights had been replaced by the blue glow of combat lighting, and every screen now showed tactical information instead of cargo manifests. "Disguise protocol complete," reported Tactical Officer Ben Carter from his station. "All weapon systems are online and ready. Defensive grid is active. Engine output at full military power." "Excellent," Morrison replied. He walked over to his command chair, a piece of equipment that definitely did not belong on a cargo freighter. As he sat down, multiple displays came alive around him, showing every detail of the battle space. "Amy, what are you reading from? The alien fleet?" Lieutenant Rodriguez was no longer the nervous cargo officer she had appeared to be. Her fingers moved across her console with military precision as she analyzed the enemy formation. 12 ships in total, sir. Heavy cruiser class by their energy output. Plasma-based weapons and standard deflector shields. They're good, but nothing we haven't seen before." Morrison nodded. The Catherians were clearly advanced, but they were using standard military doctrine. They had arranged their ships in a simple attack formation designed to overwhelm a single target with concentrated firepower. It was effective against most enemies, but humans had stopped using such predictable tactics centuries ago. "Ben, what's our tactical assessment?" Carter studied his screens for a moment before responding. "Enemy ships are well armed but slow to maneuver. Their formation is tight, which means they're vulnerable to area effect weapons. I recommend we demonstrate why attacking human ships is a bad idea." "Do it," Morrison ordered, "but leave their command ship intact. I want to have a conversation with their admiral." The New Horizons transformation was more than just cosmetic. Her engines, which had been running at barely 10% capacity, suddenly roared to life with the power of a small star. The ship, that had been drifting helplessly through space, suddenly accelerated forward with enough force to crush an unprepared crew. But Morrison's crew was far from unprepared. They had trained for this moment for years. Every human merchant vessel carried military-grade equipment and a crew that could use it. The galaxy was a dangerous place, and humanity had learned long ago that the best way to avoid fights was to be so dangerous that nobody wanted to start one. "Weapons free," Morrison announced. "Fire Control Officer Lisa Yang, you are authorized to engage." Yang's voice came over the ship's communication system, calm and professional. "Roger that, Captain. Initiating engagement protocol Delta 7. All gun crews prepare for rapid fire." The New Horizons weapons revealed themselves with devastating effect. What had appeared to be cargo bays opened to reveal missile launchers loaded with projectiles that moved at a significant fraction of light speed. Energy cannons emerged from hidden compartments, their barrels glowing with barely contained power. Point defense systems activated along the ship's hull, creating a network of protection that could track and destroy incoming threats with inhuman precision. Admiral Zexatar watched in disbelief as the human ship opened fire. But this was not the clumsy barrage he expected from a primitive species. Each shot was perfectly aimed, perfectly timed, and perfectly coordinated with every other weapon on the ship. The humans were not just throwing firepower at their enemies. They were conducting a symphony of destruction. The first Catherian ship to die was the cruiser Velshara. Human missiles struck her shields in a pattern that seemed random until the final impact. Each previous hit had weakened the shields at exactly the right point, allowing the last missile to punch through and detonate inside the ship's reactor core. The explosion lit up space like a new star being born. "Impossible," Zextar whispered. "How did they know exactly where to hit?" His answer came from Velnoth, whose voice was shaking with fear. "Admiral, the human weapons are learning. Each shot is analyzing our defensive systems and adapting. They know where our weak points are before we do." 2 more Catherian ships died in the next 30 seconds. The cruiser Nethkala simply vanished as human energy weapons cut through her hull like it was made of paper. The destroyer killed Thara, tried to retreat, but ran straight into a spread of missiles that had been fired minutes earlier, their course calculated to intercept the ship no matter which direction it tried to flee. Morrison watched the battle unfold on his tactical display with professional satisfaction. This was why humanity had survived and thrived among the stars. Not because they were the strongest or the fastest, but because they were the smartest. Human weapons did not just destroy enemies, they studied them, learned from them, and adapted to beat them more efficiently. "Amy, open a channel to the Catherian flagship," Morrison ordered. "I think it's time we had a proper conversation with Admiral Zextar." The alien commander's face appeared on the main screen, but he looked very different now. Gone was the arrogant predator who had threatened them minutes before. In his place was a creature who was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. "Admiral," Morrison said politely, as if they were discussing the weather instead of a battle that was destroying the Catherian fleet. "I am Captain Jake Morrison of the Human Federation Dreadnought New Horizon. I believe we need to discuss your immediate surrender." The Liberty raced through space faster than any human ship had ever traveled before. Behind them, the massive Zenith command ship, Eternal Dominion, was burning, its hull cracked and bleeding atmosphere into the void. Captain Jake Morrison watched. The alien vessel shrink in the distance, but he knew their escape was just beginning. "Captain," Navigator Ben Carter called out from his station, "I'm detecting multiple ships following us. The entire Zenith fleet is mobilizing." Morrison gripped his command chair as the ship shuddered. They were pushing the stolen quantum drive beyond its normal limits, but it was the only way to stay ahead of their pursuers. "How long until we reach Earth?" "At this speed, 18 hours. But Captain, the fleet behind us is gaining ground. They'll catch us in 12 hours. Then we have 12 hours to turn this ship into something that can fight back," Morrison said. "Palmer, what's our status on integrating the stolen technology?" Chief Engineer Lisa Palmer was covered in sweat and alien lubricants as she worked, frantically in the engine room. Around her, pieces of Zenith technology were being connected to human systems in ways that should have been impossible. "Captain, this is incredible," Palmer's voice came through the communicator. "The quantum cores we stole aren't just power sources. They're like living computers that can adapt to any system we connect them to." "Can you make our weapons stronger?" "I can do better than that. The Zenith database has weapon designs from 17 different species. I'm combining the best features from all of them." Dr. Amy Foster was in the medical bay, working with technology that seemed to respond to her thoughts. The bio-quantum interface she had studied on the alien ship was now connected to her own nervous system, but in a completely different way than the Zenith used it. "Captain, you need to see this," Foster said, as Morrison entered the medical bay. She was holding a small device that glowed with internal light. "The Zenith use these interfaces to control their people, but I figured out how to use them to enhance human abilities instead." "What do you mean?" Foster placed the device on her forehead. Immediately, her eyes began to glow with the same light. "I can process information 10 times faster than normal. I can see patterns in data that would take hours to analyze. But I'm still completely human. I'm still me." The Zenith never thought of using their technology this way. They've been doing the same things for thousands of years. They forgot how to innovate. But humans, We're always looking for new ways to use old tools. Communications Officer Kate Sullivan had been busy with the stolen databases. The amount of information they had captured was staggering. Technologies that could reshape matter at the atomic level, weapons that could destroy stars, ships that could travel between galaxies in minutes. "Captain, I've sent everything to Earth," Sullivan reported. "Every human scientist, engineer, and researcher on the planet now has access to 50,000 years of advanced technology from dozens of different species. How are they responding? They're working around the clock. Universities, corporations, governments, everyone is sharing information and working together. It's like the entire human race has become one giant research team." Security Chief Ryan Brooks was in the armory, testing new weapons that combined human engineering with alien technology. The results were unlike anything anyone had imagined. "Captain, take a look at this," Brooks said, holding up what looked like a normal human rifle. "Palmer and I combined zenith energy weapons with human targeting systems and Keithan power cells." Brooks aimed the weapon at a piece of test armor and fired. The beam that emerged was so powerful it didn't just destroy the armor, it disintegrated it completely. "The zenith weapons are powerful but predictable," Brooks explained. "Human weapons are less powerful but more flexible. Combined together, they're devastating." As the hours passed, the Liberty transformed from a simple exploration ship into something that had never existed before. It was part human ingenuity, part alien technology, and part pure creativity. Palmer had rebuilt the engines using quantum principles that the Zenith had never considered. The ship could now change its mass and energy signature at will, making it almost impossible to track or target. Foster had developed human enhancement systems that gave the crew superhuman reflexes and processing speeds without sacrificing their humanity or free will. Sullivan had created communication systems that could hack into Zenith networks and turn their own technology against them. Carter had designed navigation systems that could predict enemy movements by analyzing quantum probability patterns. Brooks had built weapons that could adapt their power and frequency to overcome any defense. But Morrison knew that their upgrades meant nothing if they couldn't survive long enough to use them. The Zenith fleet was still gaining on them, and soon they would have to fight. "Captain," Carter announced, "the lead Zenith ships will be in weapons range in 30 minutes. "How many?" 12 ships, each one larger than our vessel. Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew had dark circles under their eyes from working without rest, but they looked determined. "Are we ready?" "As ready as we'll ever be," Palmer replied from the engine room. "But, Captain, we're about to test human modifications against technology that's conquered the galaxy for 50,000 years. Then let's show them what humans can do." The first Zenith ship appeared on their sensors like a dark shadow against the stars. It was 3 times the size of the Liberty, armed with weapons that could crack planets. "They're hailing us," Sullivan reported. "Put them through." The cold voice of Coordinator Vex 9 filled the bridge. "Human vessel, you cannot escape. Surrender the stolen technology and accept immediate termination. Your species will be spared if you comply." Morrison smiled. "Vex 9, this is Captain Morrison. We have a counteroffer. Leave our solar system and never return, and we won't have to destroy your fleet." There was silence for a moment. Then Vex 9 spoke again, and for the first time, there was emotion in its voice. Anger. "You dare threaten the collective? You are insects compared to our power." "Then come and prove it." The Zenith ship opened fire with weapons that could melt asteroids. But when the energy beams struck the Liberty, they simply bent around the ship's hull like water flowing around a rock. "Palmer, what did you do?" Morrison asked in amazement. I combined Zenith shielding with human adaptive algorithms and Vortali, deflection technology. Our shields don't just absorb energy, they redirect it. The Liberty spun and returned fire. The beam that emerged from its weapons was unlike anything the Zenith had ever seen. It shifted frequency and power as it traveled, overwhelming the alien ship's defenses. The Zenith vessel exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the darkness of space. 1 down, 11 to go, Brooks announced. The remaining Zenith ships attacked, together, surrounding the Liberty with enough firepower to destroy a moon. But the human ship moved like nothing they had ever encountered, appearing and disappearing, striking from impossible angles. Morrison felt the bio-quantum interface Foster had given him, connecting his mind to the ship's systems. He could feel the vessel responding to his thoughts, moving not just according to his commands, but according to his intentions. This is what the Zenith never understood, Foster said, her own interface glowing as she coordinated the ship's defenses. Technology isn't just about power. It's about the relationship between the user and the tool. One by one, the Zenith ships fell. Each alien vessel was more powerful than the Liberty, but they fought like machines, following the same tactics they had used for thousands of years. The humans fought like artists, creating new strategies with every move, using the aliens' own technology in ways they had never imagined. When the last Zenith ship was destroyed, Morrison opened a channel to Earth. "This is the Liberty. We're coming home and we're bringing gifts." 6 months had passed since the Liberty returned to Earth with stolen alien technology. The planet looked nothing like it had before. Cities that once reached toward the sky now extended into space itself. Orbital stations surrounded Earth like a protective shell, each one armed with weapons that combined the best technology from dozens of alien species. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, humanity's first true warship. The vessel was a work of art and engineering that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. It combined Zenith quantum drives with human adaptability, Kethan engineering with Vortali weapons, and technologies from 15 other species that the collective had conquered over the millennia. "Admiral," Communications Officer Kate Sullivan reported from her station, "long-range sensors are detecting the Zenith fleet. 300 ships approaching from the edge of the solar system." Morrison nodded calmly. They had known this day would come. The Zenith Collective could not allow humanity's rebellion to succeed. If other species learned that the Collective could be defeated, their empire would crumble. "Status of the defense fleet?" Morrison asked. "All ships report ready, sir." 47. Vessels of human design, each one equipped with enhanced alien technology. Admiral Foster's bio-enhancement teams report that all crew members are operating at peak efficiency. Dr. Amy Foster had become the leader of humanity's enhancement program. Unlike the Zenith, who used their technology to control and suppress, humans used it to become better versions of themselves. Human reflexes were faster. Human minds could process information more quickly, but humanity's creativity and free will remained completely intact. "Admiral?" Chief Engineer Lisa Palmer's voice came through the communicator from the engine room. "All systems are green. The quantum resonance drives are performing beyond specifications. We can sustain maximum power for 72 hours of continuous combat." Palmer had spent the past 6 months revolutionizing human technology. She had taken quantum drives that the Zenith had used the same way for thousands of years and found 17 different ways to improve them. Human engineers across Earth had done the same with every piece of stolen technology. "Admiral Morrison," Navigator Ben Carter announced, The Zenith fleet is maintaining standard attack formation. They're approaching exactly as our tactical computers predicted they would. Carter had become humanity's expert on Zenith battle tactics. He had studied 50,000 years of collective military records and found something disturbing. The aliens had become so confident in their superiority that they had stopped innovating. They used the same strategies, the same formations, the same tactics against every enemy. Security Chief Ryan Brooks was now Admiral Brooks, commander of Earth's orbital defenses. His voice came through the communication system. "Morrison, all defense platforms are online. If the Zenith want to reach Earth, they'll have to go through 40,000 automated weapon systems." But Brooks knew, as they all did, that the real battle would not be won by superior firepower. It would be won by superior thinking. "Sir," Sullivan said, "we're receiving a transmission from the lead Zenith vessel." "Put it through." The voice that filled the bridge was familiar. Coordinator Vex 9 had survived the destruction of the Eternal Dominion. Though Morrison could hear the mechanical tone was even stronger now. The alien had clearly received additional modifications. "Admiral Morrison, your species has committed the ultimate crime against galactic order. The collective demands immediate surrender and the return of all stolen technology." Morrison smiled. "Vex 9. Still making demands, I see. How did that work out for you last time?" "Your previous victory was achieved through surprise and deception. The full might of the collective cannot be defeated by primitive tactics." "You're right," Morrison agreed. "It can't be defeated by primitive tactics. That's why we're not using primitive tactics." The communication cut off, and Morrison turned to his crew. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison. Today we're not just fighting for Earth. We're fighting for every species the collective has enslaved, for every civilization they've destroyed, for every brilliant mind they've turned into a mindless drone." The Zenith fleet approached in perfect formation, 300 ships moving as one unit. They had conquered dozens of species using the same overwhelming force and superior technology. They expected this battle to follow the same pattern as every other conquest in their history. They were wrong. The human fleet didn't meet them head-on. Instead, the ships scattered in all directions, moving in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully calculated to confuse Zenith targeting. "Systems, all ships, execute Plan Chaos," Morrison commanded. Plan Chaos was something no Zenith computer could have predicted. Human ships began changing their energy signatures every few seconds, making it impossible for the aliens to lock onto targets. They used Kethan stealth technology combined with human electronic warfare to appear and disappear from sensors at will. The Zenith responded by opening fire with enough energy to destroy a small moon, but the human ships weren't where the aliens expected them to be. They had used quantum probability calculations to predict where the Zenith would shoot, then made sure to be somewhere else. "Phase 2, Morrison announced. Suddenly, the scattered human ships began working together in ways that seemed impossible. They shared targeting data through quantum communication networks, coordinated their movements through bio-quantum interfaces, and struck at Zenith weak points that had been identified through careful analysis of stolen technical manuals. Admiral Foster's enhanced crews could process information and react to threats faster than any Zenith computer. They turned the aliens' own predictable tactics against them, anticipating every move and countering it before it could be completed. "Sir," Sullivan reported, "we're receiving emergency transmissions from Zenith ships. They're requesting new orders from their command structure." And their command structure can't adapt fast enough. They've never faced an enemy that changes tactics this quickly. The battle that the Zenith expected to last minutes stretched into hours. Their superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't hit their targets. Their advanced weapons were useless when the humans knew exactly when and where they would fire. One by one, Zenith ships began to fall, not because human technology was more powerful, but because human tactics were more creative. "Admiral," Carter announced, "the Zenith fleet is beginning to retreat." "Let them go," Morrison ordered, "but not before they deliver our message." Sullivan activated a broadcast that reached every Zenith ship simultaneously. It was Admiral Morrison's voice, but the words were transmitted in 47 different languages to 47 different enslaved species across the galaxy. "This is Admiral Morrison of Earth, speaking to all oppressed peoples of the galaxy. The Zenith Collective has told you that resistance is impossible. They lied. Today, a fleet of 300 collective ships was defeated by 47 human vessels." Morrison paused, knowing that across the galaxy, enslaved species were hearing hope for the first time in generations. "We are transmitting the complete specifications for quantum liberation technology. This includes advanced weapons, faster than light, drives, shield systems, and everything else you need to free yourselves from collective control." Palmer's voice joined the broadcast. "We're also sending detailed instructions on how to combine these technologies in new ways. The Zenith have used the same systems for thousands of years. You don't have to." Dr. Foster added her own message. "Most importantly, we're sharing bio-quantum interface technology that enhances your natural abilities without controlling your minds. You can become stronger and smarter while remaining free." As the broadcast ended, Morrison watched the retreating Zenith fleet disappear into the darkness of space. But he knew this was not the end. It was the beginning. Within hours, reports began arriving from across the galaxy. Species that had been enslaved for millennia were rising up, using human-enhanced technology to break their chains. The Galactic Collective, built on technological suppression and fear, was crumbling as world after world declared independence. The Zenith had sabotaged humanity to prevent them from joining the galactic community as equals. Instead, they had created a species that would liberate the galaxy from tyranny. From the ashes of sabotage, humanity had not just stolen the stars, they had given them to everyone.